Is your blog accessible? Probably not. And this is such a common issue that I see. So today we're going to talk about alt text. Alt text also means alternative text, and it's essentially the alternative that someone who uses a screen reader for vision impairment or different neurospicy reasons to read a blog post out loud to them is going to encounter when they come to an image like this one. So if you're not looking at your screen right now or you're vision impaired, right now we are on my blog post, She Knows SEO. This is the best one-click AI blog writer, and we're looking at what looks like a laptop, and inside is a screenshot of the Surfer SEO homepage. So see how I just described that to you? That's what you need to be doing with every image on your blog. Otherwise, me just talking about that wouldn't really have benefited you a lot. Now, especially when we put images in our blog posts to enhance the meaning of a blog post, to show something, to demonstrate something that you don't mention in the text, this is so important. And it's probably the most important in the travel niche. Now, I specifically work with travel niche blogs the most, so this is something I talk about all the time. But that's not why I care the most about it. So I'll give you a little diatribe about why I care to hopefully help you care a little bit more. Because if you started this video and went, ugh, accessibility, I don't want to deal with one more thing. I don't want to download a new plugin. First of all, you don't have to. But second of all, this is about real human beings. So my grandmother is blind. She has had macular degeneration for most of my adult life and a fair amount of my teens as well. So she has always relied on a screen reader on her computer to be able to see whatever the heck is happening on websites. And when I first started my blog, she would call me every week to fact check, usually spell check, things that I had done incorrectly on my blog. And there were a lot of spelling errors back then. I was just trying to get stuff out there. So she would call me to tell me that, and then she would say, I can't see the pictures. I don't really know what's happening. And I didn't know that. So the way that her screen reader encountered them would say image, and it would not tell her what was in them. So she was missing out on this huge part of a blog post, especially when I was using them, especially I had one specific post that was 10 photos to inspire your wanderlust. She couldn't see any of those. It was also a bad post, but beyond that, she couldn't see any of it to enjoy those pictures. And people who are disabled are pretty used to not being able to actually enjoy things. I am disabled myself, and I often struggle with having a limitation on everything that I can do. So I think it's really important to write great alt text, not just so we're satisfying people like my grandmother who are visually impaired a little bit. We want to give them more. We actually want to give them the best experience because for so much of their life, they don't get that. And that sucks. Now, if you need a more personal reason for yourself to do this, Google's also blind. Google is vision impaired. It cannot actually look at your images and semantically understand what you're showing. Technically they can, they just don't care to. So by writing alt text, you're also benefiting your own site. Now I'm going to teach you how to do this, and when you eventually go, oh, I have to do so many of them, I'm going to show you a way to automate it as well that is free as long as you have a ChatGPT subscription. So, in the back end of your site, if you go to your media library, this is one of two areas where you can write alt text. So you'll see all of your images listed. They might be listed like this, or they might be in more of the gallery view. Once it loads, it'll show you little thumbnails of just each individual image. That tends to be the default. I like the other one better. It's totally up to you. But what you're going to do in either case is click on one of them, and it's going to bring up the image. So I just clicked on one that is the homepage of OpenAI inside of a laptop screen. So it's screenshotted inside of a laptop mockup. Now on the side over here, you'll see that there's areas for alternative text. That's what we're talking about. Your title, a caption, and a description. So captions show on the front end of your site. Alt text does not show. It's going to be kind of hidden in the code, and I'll show you how you can see it in a moment. Descriptions tend to be more for internal use. So for example, if I wanted to add some keywords for me to be able to search this image, some notes about where this came from, that tends to be the use case for descriptions. But alt text is the one that we're worrying about today. So up here, I can add 1 to really unlimited sentences about this piece of information, or about this, pieces of information about this image. But we don't really want to do too much. We still have a whole blog post for the people to read. So what I'm going to do here is just simply, number one, describe what the heck is in this image. And number two, describe how it's relevant to where I've put it in the post. Now, it's hard to do that here because we don't know where it is in the post. And in fact, we don't know which post it's in. It might be in multiple. It is okay to put your photos in multiple posts. You can see up at the top it says uploaded to, so it shows me where I initially uploaded it. But I might reuse this across my site. So over here, I'm going to start with just describing this image. So laptop mockup with the OpenAI home screen on the screen. The home screen shows, this is important. If someone cannot see the home screen of OpenAI or they don't know what that is, this is where we're giving more context. So the home screen shows a man and woman sitting in a living room. The image is in sepia, I think is the right term, sepia, I don't know how to say it. And it's overlaid with text saying, creating safe AGI that benefits all of humanity. So now I've described what this image is. I would say if you know where it is in the post already, describe a bit more about like what this means. So here I do know that anywhere I'm going to use this, I'm going to talk about how this is the homepage of ChatGPT, where you can like access ChatGPT, and that this is an AI writer. So this screen will take you to ChatGPT, which is an AI writer you can use to write blog posts. There we go. So that's pretty general. Now for a more specific image, let's say I had this, but it was actually a screenshot of a specific use case of ChatGPT, then it might be a bit harder to describe where it's going to fit in the specific post. And I'm going to show you how to adjust that. So here, if I leave it, if I just like click out, it's going to save. It's a little bit like confusing that it doesn't let you click on a save button, but that is how it works. If we go into the specific post I was showing y'all before, that one-click AI writer post, it's going to take a second to load while I'm recording, but once it opens up, we'll be able to click into a specific image and see where we can actually add the alt text in here. So if I just click on the image, on the right-hand side, there's going to be like the block editor. Don't be in the post editor, be in the block editor. And if you go down, you're going to see settings, alternative text, and then that exact same little section where I can fill out the alternative text for this image. In fact, if I keep scrolling, I think ChatGPT is at the bottom of this one. Here we go. When I click into it, you'll see that there's actually a different alt text here. This is how we edit alt text at the post level. Now, if you edit it in your media library, it will change it in your media library and apply it to future uses, but it's not going to retroactively apply it to old ones. So we actually need to go into the individual alt text area and adjust it there. I personally prefer to write it post by post. I just think it's a little bit easier. What I might put in that general area is like the first description of what the heck this is. And then in the individual one, I'll go in and explain that this is the homepage of an AI tool that we're talking about here, blah, 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 and kind of give more context for why this is applicable to this post. Now you can also see for some of the other ones, let's look at the first one for Surfer. I talk about it being a laptop displaying Surfer SEO's AI writing, I think. Sorry, my screen recorder's blocking the end of that, with features to skyrocket your organic traffic with Surfer. That's the text that's on the page. Anytime there is text on the page in the image, this can also be for infographics, you need to include it in the alt text. This is especially important if you're including an infographic that is going to be like something important to the post. So if that is key information, if that's something that you've not mentioned anywhere else, if it's like a listicle that summarizes the post, you're going to want to make sure that that text is seen by Google. And Google can't see it if it's just in the image. They don't care to read it. So we want to put it into the alt text. We also want to put it in the alt text for anyone who cannot see it. Now, a great example of this as well is if you're writing emails, you also use alt text in emails. I do recommend it when you have pictures in your email, because many people on their phone or even just like in their email inbox on their computer, it won't always load images immediately. They often have to click to like download the images. And on phones, that's often the case to save data. So someone doesn't necessarily want to download the image if they don't know what it's of. I recently sent an email explaining how I uploaded 500 pins to Pinterest over 6 weeks, and I was sharing a screenshot of the results. So I had 2 screenshots, one of my Pinterest traffic before and one of my Pinterest traffic after. Now, if someone didn't know to look at those, they would miss out on kind of the whole point of the email. Also with that, if like in the text, I didn't specifically say, okay, I started with, I don't remember the exact impressions off the top of my head, but like, let's say I started with 10 impressions, I ended with 20 impressions. It's much higher than that, thankfully, but that would be, if I don't mention that, then someone would miss out. So if I just say I grew by about 200 pin clicks, okay, but did I start at 0? Did I start at like 1200? What was my starting point? And that's where these images add a lot of context someone would miss out on if they can't see it. So I really recommend taking the time to make things more accessible for people and taking these extra steps. Now I'm going to also show you how you can check on the front end of your site or on anyone else's site in 2 different ways to see how their alt text is installed. So the first thing that you can do is right-click over the image and click Inspect. This is going to open, it'll usually be like a little window, but we're full screened right now, so it's going to open a full screen of all the code of that page. And this is how I can actually see the code of the entire page if I want to. If you're not used to reading code, just ignore most of this. But what we can see over here is in the image, so it says image source, SRC, it gives us the link for it, all the information, and then we'll see alt equals. And here it says a laptop displaying Surfer SEO's AI writer tool with features to skyrocket your organic traffic. Exactly the alt text we saw on the back end. So this is another way just to check to make sure it is working and that it's loading on the front end of your site. Now, if you've just added it, it will take a second, especially if you have a cache, so give it a moment. But this is a good way to check. You can also do this on someone else's site. Now, another way is with the free Ahrefs Chrome extension. I have another video on how you can install it and use it. But here I can actually go into images and I can see anything that has alt text. So it seems to skip titles for some reason. I don't know why. I just ignore that. What I care that it shows me is the alt text for these specific images. So again, we have the alt text and a little like preview of the Surfer SEO image. I know it's hard to see because it's like the laptop screens and what's on them looks very similar. But that is the Surfer SEO one because I can tell from the purple. So the alt text, a laptop displaying Surfer SEO's AI writer tool with features to skyrocket your organic traffic. So it's the same beginning to that alt text each time. Obviously it's a little bit longer, but this is the alt text that I've put in these images. Now, my like basic recipe for this, if you just want to know, again, like the strategy I use, number 1, what is physically in this picture? What does it look like? And remember that someone who's visually impaired needs descriptions. So just saying the CN Tower, what does that look like? They might have no idea. And I would rather assume that they need more information than that they don't need the information and then they're left confused. It's like when you're listening to a podcast and they go like, oh, well, everyone knows this, or we don't need to explain that. And then you're sitting there like, I don't know what that is. Like, that's how I always feel. I would rather not leave someone feeling that way. So for example, if I had something that just mentioned DA here, I would probably define what DA is if I haven't done it anywhere else in the post. Another example would be if you're mentioning a beach. Okay, beach in Croatia. That doesn't tell me a lot. Is it a rock beach? Is it like pebbles, big stones? Is it sandy? Is it like sunny skies? Is the ocean green, blue, black? What is it? Like, tell me about what's happening in this scene. Are there tons of people? Are there not? Especially because people often make travel decisions based on an image. So they really want to know, what the heck am I seeing here? What's happening? Now, another example would be a diagram. In my key search review post on She Knows SEO, I created some custom diagrams explaining what certain pieces are and different tools and like where you can do little things in the tool. And I have a video where I go through it in more depth, but for pictures, I just needed to grab something, throw some like red arrows and text on it. But if I just said screenshot of key search, people completely lose all of that information. So spend some time writing it. Now, if you prefer not to and you're just a bit lazy or you're just not good at it, totally fine, I'm lazy too. So I created a custom GPT. It is free to use. If you come to the GPT store, so when you come to ChatGPT, you need to be on the paid plan for this to work. You'll hit Explore GPTs and you'll get to this nice GPT store. Then you can come here and I've used it a lot, but you can just type in "she knows alt text." That's so cool. We've had over 1,200 uses of it. That's amazing. And if you click on this, or if you just type it in, it'll show up. You can see that you can start creating alt text. So you have two different methods here, and it's going to depend, number one, on if you're updating an old post, and number two, on the robots.txt file of your site. So if your site does not block different AIs from combing it, you're going to be able to do the first method, which is where you would just type in the URL of a specific page, and it's going to be able to actually find all the images on that page that are missing alt text and write new alt text for it. However, if your site blocks it, it's not going to work. So you can just test it, but the block comes from different ways. I often find Cloudflare sites have a bit of an issue with this, and I know that sites with Raptive, naturally it tries to block AI, so you'll just need to figure out, you can try and undo that if you want, or the other option is you can just click the little upload here, and you can upload up to 10 images at a time. So I'll just grab, I don't know what screenshots I have here, but oh, those are the Pinterest ones I was mentioning. So if I just pop the Pinterest ones in and click upload, it's going to actually ask me, what are you trying to do here? You've just given me images and no information. Oh, look, it's actually just writing it, I think, because it could tell what was happening. But here we go. Screenshot of a social media analytics dashboard showing a custom date range from November 1st to November 30th, 2023, with a slight decrease in impressions and engagements by 1.8% and 4.7% respectively. A 10% decrease in outbound clicks. I'm not going to keep reading it. There's a lot there. So that was my initial one. The interesting thing is it didn't know what to look for. So it's looking at the change, but that's my baseline. That's my first screenshot. So actually what I would like it to show instead is I want to give it more context. These are from Pinterest. Please highlight the total numbers, not the changes between them. And it's going to be able to rewrite this. Now, it will also ask you for a keyword. If it doesn't, sometimes it misses it. Give it your keyword. My keyword is X, and it will include your keyword in the alt text for everything it keeps writing. So if you want to start again, you're either going to need to say, forget that keyword or stop using it, or you're going to need to open a new window with the GPT. So here we can see it adjusted it. So the first one now reads, screenshot of a Pinterest analytics dashboard displaying overall performance metrics for a custom date range from November 1 to November 30, 2023. Key metrics include 100.32K impressions, 3.96 engagements, yada, yada, yada. So this actually gives a lot more information, and I can also then tell it this means, and I can give it more information on what to include. So this works really well. You can also use the base ChatGPT to upload an image, but you're gonna need to tell it what good alt text is, what the point is, and things like that. I've also tested it where I will write a post in ChatGPT or just feed it the post and then say, here are the images for the post, write alt text for it, but it doesn't necessarily know where they're based. The cool thing as well is with this alt text GPT, it can read the file name that you name the image. So if you've already named the images something like Croatia Rocky Beach, it's gonna pull that information and include it in the alt text. So it can sometimes pull information you don't intend for it to have if for some reason you've named it something weird. But I do recommend renaming your files anyway so that they're, number one, unique in the back end of your site. I did have one issue beforehand where I pulled a bunch of Pinterest images and it was like untitled, open brackets, 100, close brackets twice. And the second image showed correctly on the back end of my site, but on the front end, it showed as the first image because technically they were the same image. So be careful about that. So I recommend renaming it anyway, and naming it something descriptive is just helpful for searching the back end of your site. But then that's also helpful for inspiring the alt text. So for example, when I have very, very infrequently allowed guest posts or when my writers offer images to me, I will ask them to name it something descriptive. Number one, because I don't know what that thing is, so it's hard for me to place it in a post if I don't know where they intend for it to go, but also so that when I can upload it here to try and get some alt text, I have some context for it that will inspire better alt text. So that's how this works. Again, totally free to use as long as you already have a paid ChatGPT subscription. There are other tools as well. I've done a review on my channel of alttext.ai and I don't remember AI something else. There were two of them that I compared. And I think that they're awesome tools in the sense that they start to allow this. I did not find the output of them amazing. And when I stopped using them, Alt Text AI had only just started allowing you to add keywords to it. But it was, yeah, there were some issues there that I didn't love. So I actually prefer this method, also because it means I don't need to have something as like another plugin on my site. So this is my preferred method for doing alt text, and this is something that I do for every single post on my site. I think it is so massively important and such an important thing to do for your audience, because you don't know who's disabled and you don't know how much of a change this is going to make in their life. And you're going to get some diehard fans out of this once they notice that this is happening. I even use screen readers for my ADHD, and I will definitely notice sites that do a good job with alt text, and they are few and far between. So I really want to try and make an impact on the world to inspire you guys, and please share with your friends. Please tell everyone. Honestly, this GPT is for everybody. Please share it around, because I would like everyone to be making the world a little bit more accessible to people who just have a hard time getting through the day and really deserve a lot better than what they're given. So please take the time to set this up on your site. When you're doing your next content audit, go through and look at those images, because I will also say when I went through and added alt text to my pictures that was relevant, not just keyword stuffed. Do not, please, for the love of God, do not just have 20 images on a page that all just say things to do in Rome. Because that tells me nothing except that, number one, you used a lazy SEO strategy, and number two, it's so repetitive and annoying when your screen reader keeps hitting that, and I will leave the site. Like, I will get annoyed and I will leave. So instead, do something beneficial to your audience, because writing alt text like this massively changed the game for me, both with my audience, but also with Google, because now Google knows what the heck I've put on my site. They know that it's relevant and they know what the point of it is. So I'm actually able to give a lot more context, and you can sneak keywords in here, but do it naturally. So for example, if Croatia beaches is the keyword, mentioning that this is a rocky beach in Croatia is good, but we want to give a bit more information on why it's relevant to the post and things like that. Google seems to reward harder work, so I definitely recommend putting in the quality here, because it's definitely going to change user experience. As we know, SEO is largely driven by user experience. So your homework, I'm going to give you a bit of homework, is for your next blog post, please try to write the best alt text possible. Look at the images that you're using, and even if they're decorative, I know that like technically it says, oh, if it's like a decorative image, just ignore it. There's no true decorative image. Every image has somewhat of a purpose. There's a reason it's there, and even so, a screen reader is going to hit it and just tell that person there's an image and it doesn't know what that is. And that person is going to feel like they missed out. So even for your decorative images, explain what the heck it is and why it's there. It's going to help you. It's going to help your audience. And overall, it's going to make the internet a better place. Okay, have an epic day. And if you'd like to learn more about SEO, definitely give me a like and a follow. And I will be here next week again on Thursday to share even more SEO tips. Okay, bye.